I wonder if Jisc appreciate the investment they've made in the Critical Friends. And I suppose a question on my lips is, and what are they going to do with it next? Because it would, I think, be a great shame if, having developed the expertise, in having an established network, if there are to be more projects, more programs, and the Critical Friend model and Camel model is to be applied, it would be a shame if they didn't draw on and exploit the investment they've made. And I think certainly one of the issues I had originally with the programme was not being present at that first meeting with my cluster. And I know there were all sorts of reasons why. It was very, it was the timing. And I understand that, and hindsight's a great thing, but I did feel at the time that I had missed an opportunity to be there at the beginning with my cluster and kind of, be born, as it were, at the same time, in that moment of anxiety that they clearly all experienced. On the other hand, I felt strongly about it at the time, but on the other hand, I've also wondered about, well, that was the situation, I wasn't there. Was it actually beneficial that I wasn't there, and that I kind of, without being rude to Jisc, picked up the pieces afterwards of these bewildered people kind of being at this meeting, lumped together, wondering what on earth's going on, what is a camel, why have I got a critical friend? And that was also an opportunity to kind of begin that relationship. And I'm not actually sure now whether it was more beneficial not to have been there, or whether it really was a lost opportunity.
Well, I think I was just going to bring the subject up of how we, as practitioners, have used the technologies to communicate and share information. I would say, actually, that's something which we could improve. I don't think we were that clever.
No.
Because if you look at a lot of the things, it was mostly sort of our email. The online system certainly didn't really, to be honest, work that well. I think there are all sorts of reasons for that. However, I do think, as sort of techniques like Illuminate, real-time conferencing, have come on, I think we've actually have made good use of that. And I think, I actually think it's a great environment for things like project showcasing. I think the fact that it is so cost effective and easy to set up Illuminate meetings, when you can even do, we used it for some cross-cluster ones, didn't we, between camel groups. And people are far more likely to participate if they don't have to, give up a whole day to travel. They can actually just say, let's come on. So I'd like to see a lot more use of Illuminate, recording those things and using it for project showcasing. But I think, when it comes down to what we're trying to encourage universities to do, which is use these technologies to capture knowledge, to build on it, to distill it, to keep, and so on, even across cohorts every year, we haven't practiced that ourselves. And I think if we're going to do this effectively at the next project, I think we need to look at that, because we ought to be a showcase of actually how we use these new technologies and media ourselves.
I think following on to that, if there is going to be a programme which has a similar, perhaps slimmed down, but any kind of similar programme support, then I think it would be useful to kick that off with a collective meeting of the programme support team, including the Critical Friends, who kind of fleshed out a policy for how you're going to use those technologies, so that everybody's working from the same sort of hymn sheet.
It is quite difficult, though, isn't it? I think, because in principle, Circle was a good idea, and I think we talked about it quite a bit, didn't we? Up to the first programme meeting and at the first programme meeting that we had, because there were rebels, people who said, over my dead body. There were others who said, well, come on, we should give it a chance, for the same reasons you've just outlined. But I suppose, again, isn't hindsight an amazing thing? The ultimate goal was to have an online shared community in the design studio. And there's kind of a bit of me thinks, well, if only we'd had the design studio at the beginning with the functionality that was in Circle but actually been easier to use.
Yeah.
Does such a tool exist? I don't know.
Yeah.
We would have started with something that we're ending with and is a legacy, but as it was, they were two separate things. And I think once we actually had the design studio anyway, I think people's experiences of Circle and said, well, why would I use both?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the focus now.
Yeah.
And it must be incredibly difficult to decide on what technology to use. So I feel sorry really for Jisc that they got caught in that kind of trap.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. It is a tough one, but I think there's almost a willingness now, and I think again it's a maturity, isn't it, for critical friends, everyone involved, to say, look, actually we all see this as an ultimate goal to do that. Let's make it happen. And I think if you've got that will to do it, and I actually think it's there.
Another good thing about the design studio, and particularly thinking in terms of future programs, is that gives you an ideal vehicle for reaching audiences like people on the PG certs, because you've got somewhere to point them to.
Yeah,
You haven't
absolutely.
got to point them to multiple project websites.
No, that's very
You've
good.
got something that is collective and easy to access.
That's very true.